Welcome to Book Buzz, where we talk about the latest book trends and the latest books we've read. I'm Brielle.
And my name is Basil Eckleburg.
And you're listening to Book Buzz. Warning, there will be spoilers. Proceed at your own risk. Okay, so today we're reviewing The Great Gatsby. You want to give us a quick summary, Basil?
Okay, so Nick Carraway, he wants to make his own money. So he moves to New York to become a bond salesman. Not much money in it, but it's a job, you know? And he goes there because his cousin, Daisy, lives there. She's married to this rich ex-athlete. They have a kid named Pammy, who's only mentioned twice. And see, the problem is, Nick's neighbor is this really rich guy named Gatsby. He always throws parties, but he's very mysterious. No one really knows who he is, how he got so rich, how he has so much influence. Until it turns out Gatsby's been in love with Nick's married cousin, Daisy, for 6 years.
Yes.
And that's why Gatsby befriended Nick. He was like, I need to get close to your cousin without seeming like a pervert.
Exactly. Okay, so let's get into some of this. So on top, let's get into some characters, okay? I want to first get into Nick because he's the main character of this. How Nick is just like the outside character looking in. How in reality, he's not really the main. He's like the main character, but more like on the outside of this perspective.
I could probably list to you on my hand everything he did that actually had an impact on the plot. Like, for the most part, he's just telling the story. He's not involved in it. The story is about Gatsby, Daisy, and Tom. He's just there.
Yeah, 100%. And so I also want to dig in real fast to like Nick's relationship with his girlfriend and then eventually ex
Jordan Baker.
Jordan Baker, who Jordan Baker, by the way, is the friend, like a really good friend of Daisy.
And a golfer.
So there's like this thing where everyone believes that Jordan cheats golf. Though I don't necessarily believe that myself.
She's admitted it.
Oh, she admitted it.
Like, it was proven. It's just that,
my bad.
She said I cheat at golf.
Yeah, okay.
People are like, yeah, she cheats at golf. They just can't really prove that she cheats at golf.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing I don't get, okay?
I'm gonna go really rich, really famous.
I'm gonna go a little rant about golf. Golf, in my opinion, is dumb. Now, listen. Okay, who makes a sport? Okay, top things in a sport. You want to cheer them on and you want to beat somebody, okay?
Beat somebody?
Beat like the other team. So like if you're a golfer, okay, your point of the game is to play the least amount of the game as possible, and on top of that, your entire fan group is just supposed to like what?
Tiny claps.
Golf claps. They even named it after. It's so
Golf
dumb.
Claps?
That's what they're called.
Oh.
Anyway, sorry, going off on tangents.
I think their relationship is pretty interesting because that's actually uninvolved from Gatsby, Daisy, and Tom. Their relationship is just solely on its own.
100%.
They don't necessarily like each other, but they're just like, you're pretty, let's date.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm glad it didn't end terribly because so many of these types of like relationships end so terribly.
Well, it didn't end badly. Nick was just like, we both knew this never really meant anything. With everything that's happened, it's just, I gotta move away, Jordan just kind of said, okay, I guess it makes sense, but get out of my house anyways.
Yeah.
She was like, you could tell she was bitter about it, but she wasn't directly mean.
100%. I think that just sums up the character as a whole. Okay. Like, okay. I think next we should touch on the main character of the plot, Gatsby. Which in the story they call him Gats.
So his real name is James Gatz. He was born really, really poor. Like, his parents were just fishers or something.
As dirt poor as you can get.
Dirt poor. They lived in a shack, and he didn't have a window.
The window is so basically he lived in a prison.
And then he tried to make it on his own for a bit, like became a fisher, just moved away from home. And then he eventually meets this really rich guy who lives on a yacht. He saves his life because his yacht is like sinking. And the rich guy's like, thank you for this, so I'm going to hire you. And they eventually become best friends. And he writes Gatsby into his will. And then the guy dies, except his wife like takes 80% of the fortune just from the like suing him and stuff. And Gatsby only has like $20,000.
I believe it was 300,000 he got, and then she got $1 million.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
He got like a good bit, but not enough to live off of the rest of his life.
Which, yeah, well, he did, but it's just, I feel like the wife should have been a little bit more considerate of the one who saved her husband.
Well, she didn't actually like him. She just married him for the money.
Oh,
it says that.
Oh, wait, yeah, it does. See, there's a lot of things, okay? And even marrying into money will get into play a lot in a little bit.
Yeah. And so then he's so poor and he needs more money, so he decides, I'm going to join the military, and it's during World War I. He's about to get sent away, but he's like going through the streets of somewhere in the Midwest. I can't really remember where. Was it like, it was either Illinois or like Kentucky.
I think it was Illinois. I think you're right with that. It's Illinois.
And he comes across this house, and there's Daisy sitting on the porch, and they like quickly become friends. They're definitely flirting. They're like almost in love. They kiss. And then he gets sent away for war, and they sent letters to each other back and forth, like, when I get back, I'm gonna marry you, and that sort of thing. Except he disappears during the war, and Daisy's heartbroken.
Yeah, 100%. I think Gatsby, his love for Daisy, though, is where it really gets me for him.
Yeah. Because, see, the thing is, he disappears, and then simply because someone made, like, a mistake in sending him places.
Mm-hmm.
And then he decides, I can't marry Daisy because Daisy has always been used to this really rich, full of money life. And I have no money. So he spends 5 years becoming the billionaire that he is through some not so legal means.
Which they don't really mention, but they mention.
There are a lot of rumors about him, which aren't very good rumors.
For example, one of the rumors says he's brutally killed a person, which he didn't do, but
He didn't do that.
He didn't kill anybody yet.
He never killed anyone, actually.
He killed someone's heart. Anyway. No, okay.
Everything he ever did was for Daisy.
We gotta love how Daisy just wants him
The
for
moment
the money.
he met her, his life revolved around her.
Yeah, speaking of Daisy, let's get into her, okay?
Wait, hold on. This is a fun fact. So my mom was doing the New York Times crosswords, and sometimes she asks me for help. And it's like, who has become a tragic hero archetype since the 1920s? And I'm like, I don't know. Who is it? And it's Gatsby.
Yeah.
Gatsby's the archetype.
Gatsby does kind of he has a lot of problems. But we love Gatsby. We love Gatsby.
He's secretly Fitzgerald, but we'll get into that.
And real quick, they made a movie, if you didn't know, about the Great Gatsby. And like every single remake of any old book, like Romeo and Juliet, the Titanic, the Great Gatsby, the main character is Leonardo DiCaprio.
And it's just as unhinged as the modern Romeo and Juliet. It's like so crazy if you've actually read the book.
Oh, also Tobey Maguire is
Nick.
So if you like Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, he's also in it. Okay.
Daisy.
Daisy. Let's get into Daisy.
Is a really interesting character in my opinion because she's definitely led by her heart, but her heart is led by who has the most money.
Yeah.
She loves Gatsby and she loves Tom. But she eventually goes with Tom because Tom has the better image. She has a kid with him. They've already married. And he has more money.
Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like Gatsby is just kind of a little bit higher, like a different level than Daisy. Because I feel like Gatsby like really loves her. And she's like, I love you, but your money.
Gatsby knew poverty. So his money meant more to him.
Yeah, of course.
Daisy has always known money. She's careless with it.
100%, yeah.
She just wants to be comfortable. The heart doesn't matter to her as much. when
Which
Gatsby
is
has
sad.
lived through times without so much money, and he's been happy because he had his heart.
As one could say, it must be funny to be in a rich man's world. Okay, let's get into Tom. I want to get into Tom.
Tom is Daisy's husband, and he's a real jerk.
Tom cheats so much. It's not okay.
He doesn't. He only cheats with one woman.
He cheats
Well,
with
no,
Wilson. He cheats with two.
with a few women. Actually.
He cheats with so many women.
But he does care about Miss Wilson, aka Myrtle. That's her name, Myrtle.
Which we'll get into later.
Tom wants to have everything possible, everything he can.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. He just consumes and consumes and consumes until there's nothing left.
I found really fascinating is when the argument between him and her and Gatsby, her meaning Daisy, I found it really funny that it's like his entire world was like falling apart. It's like that one the one part of Crime and Punishment where I think it was the main dude who was dating the main character's sister is like having a crumbling moment. And I think it's the same similar thing happening here. It's like, oh no, everything I know is falling apart. I'm losing control.
Tom wants everything.
He wants control. He wants complete control.
And so when he loses this,
he goes haywire. Yeah.
He can't imagine. He can't understand it.
He can't cope with it. Yeah, speaking of Tom, the one good thing that came out of Tom was Pammy. And now over to you, because I know you want to talk about her.
Oh my God, Pammy. She was mentioned 2 times in the entire book. 2 times. This is Daisy and Tom's child.
I believe her name is Pamela, but yeah, Pammy.
2 times is she mentioned. The first time, she's basically... Daisy is just talking to Tom, and she's basically like, oh yeah, I have a kid, Pammy. She's like 3 now. Anyways, I'm in love with Gatsby. The second time, Pammy's actually shown, and I have it right here.
Quote.
Pammy's like, I got dressed before luncheon. She's like super proud of herself because she's 3 years old and she got dressed by herself.
Yeah.
And her mom is just like, that's because I wanted to show you off.
Yeah.
So she's only there just to prove they can do it.
Yeah.
As I said before, they're consuming and consuming and consuming. They don't really care for Pammy or each other, maybe.
Yeah.
Their affection may seem real, but it also seems a bit shallow. Daisy and Tom's.
If it's okay, I notice a pattern between every single... I've read a lot of classics, and it seems like every time the two of the characters have a child, they always seem to be like misunderstood, and it really, I think, makes me mad.
Well, I could go into how that's affected by the times, but I don't think that's really necessary right now.
Okay, and real fast, I want to just real quick thing with the Wilsons. They were everyone was driving home. Gatsby, Daisy, everyone, and Gatsby and Daisy were in a car, and Daisy was driving, and Daisy accidentally swerved. She swerved to miss a car that was coming straight for them and hit Mrs. Wilson and killed her.
That was who Tom was cheating on her with.
Yes, and Mr. Wilson ends up going and killing Gatsby in a pool, which is really sad.
And then killing himself.
Yeah, and killing himself, which is honestly just mind-blowing. What?
Mr. Wilson was a bit stupid, but he loved his wife. His wife hated that he was a bit stupid. So he went and he got angry. Myrtle ran, and a lot of things happened. They both ended up dead. Mr. Wilson killed Gatsby.
Yeah, it was honestly a really sad part of the book for me. I felt like, why you have to kill out Gatsby?
And then only 3 people were at Gatsby's funeral.
Nick, one of them was
Gatsby's
Nick.
dad, and this guy they've met in the library. They called him Owl Eyes.
We love him. And the bromance between
Gatsby had helped so many people, and they'd all been to his parties, but only 3 people went to his funeral, which shows the carelessness of wealth.
Yeah. Okay. To wrap it up, we're gonna talk about Dr. T.J. Eckleburg.
Dr. T.J. Eckleburg.
Okay, Basil, you wanna
This guy is just a sign. He's a sign for an optometrist, and it's just these giant eyes.
A literal sign on a wall, like a wall.
But it's in the book. It's always described as Dr. T.J. Eckleburg watched over the events as though the eyes of God. And every time something bad was happened, he was mentioned. The sign was right there watching it. He watched the cheating, he watched the death, he watched arguments, he was there. And just one last bit about the author, F. Scott Fitzgerald. I call him Fitzy because
Fitzy is cute.
I think it's funny. In the dedication, he writes once again to Zelda. That's his wife, who originally rejected his marriage proposal because he didn't have any money. Who do you think that sounds a bit like? Maybe Gatsby
Dun, dun,
and
dun.
Daisy?
Yeah, ultimate romantic.
So Fitzy put a lot of himself into this book. He's, in my opinion, one of the ultimate romantics because everything he did was for Zelda to have a happy, content life. He wrote so he could make money and let Zelda live in affluency.
Yeah, okay.
My partner called him the first sugar daddy.
But yeah. Yeah, you can call him
First
that.
sugar daddy.
Okay, so I think that's all we can talk about today. I think that's all we talk about.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening to Book Buzz with Brielle.
Basil Eckleburg.
And we tune in next time where we will be what book are we doing?
I don't know.
It's gonna be a surprise.
Yeah.
Well, have a great spring break, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.